breaking down Michigan football headed toward a Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis against, surprise, Iowa. Wisconsin's been rolling, but they blew it against Minnesota, and it ushers in a matchup between Michigan and Iowa. Any fear that Michigan comes down from the mountaintop and can't have enough time to get ready for this one?
Definitely. I think there's definite cause for concern. Now, Michigan started out, or I think it came out minus 10.5 or 11 for Michigan against Iowa in the Big Ten championship, which I thought was a large line. But I mean, there's no doubt that I think from the outside, people are going to say, hey, you prepared all year for the game on last Saturday. How do you come and win this next game? So they're going to have to get up again, get themselves up after. I mean, you've got to be emotionally drained if you're a Michigan player or coach after what happened in Ann Arbor yesterday. I was just a fan in the stands, and I'm emotionally drained, right? So I think there's definitely cause for concern. What's going to help that is I have to imagine Indianapolis is going to be 75% Michigan fans. Michigan hasn't been there since, or ever, right? And the last time they won a Big Ten championship, the Big Ten championship didn't exist. That game didn't exist. So it just was awarded to the top team at the end of the year. So I think Michigan's going to show out and provide this team energy. In terms of game planning, I think that Iowa's offense is not difficult to game plan against. Their offense is not good. They don't even know who's going to start at quarterback, so maybe that's tough. But the only thing that worries me about this game is it's strength on strength for Michigan's offense versus Iowa's defense. Iowa's defense is incredible at stopping the run. Michigan's offense, all they want to do is run the ball. So it's going to rest on, can Cade McNamara kind of do what he did against Michigan State until the end of the game and throw for 300 yards or something to that effect? Or will Michigan just say, hey, we did it last week against Ohio State. We're just going to, we're going to run it. Our offensive line, we think, is better than your defensive line. We're going to ram it down your throat again.
It should be interesting. Michigan is certainly the better team. I think that's been proven through 12 games, but Iowa, certainly capable, has scrapped together a 10-2 record and 7-2 in the Big Ten. So they're a worthy opponent, but didn't necessarily look the part during a midseason slump that saw them lose to Wisconsin by 3 scores, Purdue by 3 scores, and barely limp past Northwestern. They've played a little bit better the last 2 weeks and scored 22 straight to beat Nebraska and come back and get that done in the fourth quarter.
I don't want to throw shade at Nebraska here at the end here because they don't deserve it, but I mean, how many times can you blow a lead? I have Nebraska friends that are just like, I mean, it's Groundhog Day. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it where I think Nebraska's a pretty good team, but it's just something with Scott Frost or whatever they're doing there. They just can't hang on to a lead.
By any measurement, except for the final score, or not even the final score, but the loss in the loss column over and over and over and over, they play everybody close. It almost seems like they could be playing the New England Patriots next week and they'd play them within a score, or they'd play UConn and they'd lose by it doesn't matter who they line up against. They're going to lose by one. They're going to find a way to lose.
You think about their losses. I mean, they're the top teams in the Big Ten, and they all lost to them by less than they lost to everybody by less than a score, so it doesn't really matter. But the top teams, Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan, every Penn State, every team that they play is like, it's really incredible how they can play with somebody but just can't win. And so I do think if you're a Nebraska fan out there, I think you have a lot of hope for the future. You have to think at some point with the talent and you're just like that close and you can't keep losing those games. You're going to win a few of them in the future. I promise you.
Michigan and Nebraska have paralleled each other. Just Michigan's like here and Nebraska's down here. But in some ways, Nebraska fans, yes, you can gain some inspiration from what Michigan's accomplished. You just need to push through on any particular game. It's Doesn't have to be Ohio State, just anybody
Right.
decent.
Yeah. Well, and I think the nice thing too is when you're in the West, you don't have to go 12-0 to win that conference, right? Win that division. So you have to think, all right, we can possibly, if there's a chance, if like maybe 10 total plays go a different way for them this year, they're 7-2 in that division and probably going to Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
So this is our weekly Nebraska analysis with Justin Rowe from Flew by 90. Yeah.
Exactly.
Talking about a 1-8 team in the Big Ten.
While my team goes to the Big Ten championship. That's just what we do around here.
I took in the Iowa-Nebraska game, and I just couldn't help myself. After it was done, I thought, you know what? These numbers have to be ludicrous. And I just kind of went through Scott Frost's tenure in terms of conference games, division games, one-score games against ranked teams. They're 0-14 under Scott Frost. Just all those, every conceivable record you want to look up over his tenure is just abysmal.
Oh, I feel for the guy because I think the parallels that you're talking about are perfect. Scott Frost is the great quarterback that comes back and coaches just like Jim Harbaugh. It's like the same scenario, right? And
and what he did prior to coming back to Nebraska, very impressive. Not just that we're going to hand this guy a job, but he goes 12-0, 13-0 at UCF, beats an SEC team in a New Year's Six bowl game. It seems like it's the obvious choice.
He's the home run hire. Absolutely. You can't possibly go wrong. It's the exact same scenario as Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh has won more games than he has. Obviously, the records aren't nearly the same, but it's still like if you put those parallels together, it looks just like it did it at Michigan. It has been at Michigan. So, hey, maybe a few more years, you get to 7 years and you can do it, Huskers. I don't know. But I mean, thinking about Iowa against them too, Iowa didn't deserve to win that football game. They played well in the second half, but they did not play well for 48 minutes, I don't think. So I agree with you. I think that Michigan's definitely the better team than Iowa. But you just never know what can happen on Saturday. And so Michigan's still going to have to play a pretty dang good football game to beat them, I think.
Michigan, Iowa Big Ten championship game Saturday night, Fox, 8 Eastern.